Hello, friends. Welcome to the Kumbi-Gikku show on GK Sports India YouTube channel. This is quite special as we are just 3 days before the start of the new BCCI domestic calendar, starting with the Duleep Trophy in grounds in Bengaluru, the Center of Excellence grounds hosting the Duleep Trophy matches played between 6 teams. Duleep Trophy is back to its zonal format. Earlier, it used to be the 5 zones: North, East, South, Central, and West. Now we have a sixth new team, which is the Northeast. There is going to be some new rules being implemented in this BCCI domestic season, starting with Duleep Trophy. And who better than our good old friend Kumbi of the Kumbi-Gikku show, K Srinath, former player and currently a BCCI umpire, to throw more light on the new rules that will be implemented. We have already in an earlier episode discussed about the new rule changes that ICC has effected from July 2nd, ODIs and the following T20s. But now it is going to be a very, very important rule that will be implemented by BCCI, and hopefully it will be across all countries, across all formats at the international level. This is nothing but the new one, which is the injury replacement substitute. And let's welcome K Srinath to throw more light into this and much more what we can expect in the coming season. Morning, Sri. Welcome again to the Kumbi-Gikku show. It's wonderful having you always on this channel.
Jikku, thank you very much. Yes, we in our one of our previous shows we had discussed about the new changes that were implemented by ICC in their new cycle that is starting from the 2nd of July 2025, and all those changes in the playing conditions have been incorporated by BCCI in toto. For the viewers' benefit, there's always been a law in existence which talks about change in nomination after the toss happens. That means if a player is injured due to some reason or for any unforeseen reason, a player is not able to take the field. So, with the consent of the opposing captain, a change can be effected. So, this rule has been there for a very long time, but the rider here is it is with the consent of the opposing captain. What if the opposing captain refuses? So, it becomes a 10-member team which is devoying one of the sides to put up a full playing 11 on the park. Well, coming to this important change or, sort of experimental change in playing condition, the ICC has requested all its home boards in the forthcoming domestic season to implement this rule of a substitute for a injury prone player. So what does it talk about? It talks about a serious injury to a player occurring on the field of play. So, for example, on day one, we find a bowler, fall down, break his shoulder, or he gets hit hard on his knee, and post a scan, we get to know that he is not in a position to take further part in the match. So the serious injury has to be a fracture, a ligament tear. It can be a deep cut, a wound, a wound which might require stitches. For example, we see in a lot of cases where the webbing is cut and the player cannot take further part in the game. So with the consent of the doctor available on the ground and also the match referee, but the two umpires on field are solely responsible to decide whether a full-time substitute can be provided for the player who has incurred this injury. It's a very, very good rule that has been brought in many a times. In fact, in my career as an umpire in the last 18 years, I have seen there have been occasions on day one or early on day two where we see a player being injured very badly. But unfortunately, when the opponent captain is being approached for a replacement, the captain many a times, he says that no, I'm not willing to, give consent. So Eventually, they are down to 10. Though there's a full-time substitute who's been provided, but he can only discharge duties as a fielder. He cannot take part in the game as a bowler or a batter. So this experimental rule which is coming is going to be very, very important, as far as serious injuries are concerned. But again, what I would like to throw light on is the serious injury will not be covered for hamstring pulls or calf muscle strains, or if somebody is incurred a groin injury. So anything that is external and visible to the eye, wherein a documented proof is provided per se in terms of a scan, and the doctor there assesses saying that, yes, this particular player, because of his serious injury, cannot take further part in the match. Then the on-field umpires will throw it open to the referee. So this year also in the nomination list, before it used to be 11 plus 4, the four substitutes, the profile of those players have to be mentioned. 12, 13, 14, 15. Right-hand batsman, off-spinner. Middle order batsman, medium pace bowler. So when this serious injury to a player happens, out of these four nominated substitutes, there will be a like-to-like replacement for that particular injured player. It's on very similar lines to what is applicable to a concussion substitute.
Shri, was this brought only after what we saw in the recent test matches? Rishabh Pant limping out with a broken toe and Chris Wokes damaging his shoulder, not being able to take further part in the fifth test match, but he walked out with a bandaged shoulder in sling, covered with his sweater, just to give that number 10, the last wicket stand with Gus Atkinson. Was it only after these two incidents, or you think this was already on the cards?
Oh, there were discussions happening in the last 12 months as to how they could, bring this rule into play. Because always when a new rule is brought in, they need to figure out what the repercussions could be. Because cricket being a very tactical game, and mind you, this rule is only introduced for the longer format. So this injury replacement player cannot happen in a one day or a T20 game. So this is only for, the domestic circuit wherein they play multi-day cricket. Could be Ranji Trophy, Duleep Trophy, Rani Trophy. So could manipulation occur? So these could be questions because cricketers are pretty smart. They can play around, certain things, situations not going their way. Something of this sort can come up. So as I said, it's very early stages, and yes, we would certainly have a couple of incidents that could crop up in the ensuing season, and how that is handled. And yes, like always, we look for validation. A classic example was, that you mentioned of Rishabh Pant and Chris Wokes, and Rishabh Pant was out of the game, and Dhruv Jurel had to just don the gloves as a wicket keeper. So it was a clear-cut case of a like-to-like substitution. Had this rule been in existence, if ICC had embraced it along with the other changes, I think Dhruv Jurel would have replaced Rishabh Pant for the rest of the game. He would have batted as well as in the second innings. So added to this, what happens is in case the injured player who's going out has any sort of penalties or warnings against him, all those things will be incorporated by the substitute player who comes in his place. Even this also has to be, brought to light to the cricket viewing public.
In the recent times, we saw only the player from the playing 11 to don the wicket-keeping gloves in case the regular wicketkeeper is out. But we have now seen a substitute wicketkeeper out of the playing 11 to come, like we saw Dhruv Jurel in the recent series. And this is also taking it a step further from what we had, the concussion substitute, where a concussion substitute could be a part of the main playing 11. But now this injury replacement substitute also is something along similar lines, isn't it? So that's a welcome change, which would definitely help. One player will make a huge difference, isn't it? Playing with a 10-member team and a full member team.
Absolutely. As you mentioned, it's very similar on the lines of concussion. So, there's a validation from the doctor on the field of play. Then from the nominated subs, the referee takes over. His role comes in and he's going to nominate, one player amongst them. and there are going to be no questions raised about this. Like in the law about change in nomination after toss, the opponent captain doesn't come into picture at all. So it's a call whether to give one or not lies with the on-field umpires. If the on-field umpires decide to go ahead with it, then the ball is in the referee's court. He's going to call out the nomination sheets, figure out who the four substitutes are, look at a like-to-like replacement, and then provide them the same. I think it's a welcome change, subject to, as I said many a times, there are subtle rules, that are used to undue advantage. So hopefully that this is not tweaked and used to such a purpose. But yes, to make it a level playing field, it should not be a case wherein day one, first hour, a player breaks down with a serious injury and that particular team is penalized for no reason, and they end up playing 10 against 11. So I always believe it has to be a matchup 11 versus 11. So this is a very important change in playing condition, and hopefully ICC will certainly have a keen watch. With whatever I have heard, I think Cricket Australia is planning to incorporate this change in their forthcoming domestic shield season. Unfortunately, when the rule was incorporated, I think ECB had the season starting and almost they were halfway through. So it's going to be very important as to how the test playing nations embrace this particular change in rule in their domestic. Post that, I think next year around when the working committee of ICC sit down, I think I'm sure that this would be extended to international cricket, and time will tell if it becomes successful, because T20 is too short a format wherein you look at injury replacement player for you. Maybe if required, they could even look at it at the one-day format. But as of now, a very important change. We have to wait and watch as to how this rule takes shape in the next 6 months of ensuing domestic cricket in India.
And certainly, I don't see any reason why the different countries should not take into this new rule. When some player is hurt, they would definitely want, they will look at some replacement, and this is a welcome change. And also, another interesting thing is the like for like replacement. Like you mentioned, right-handed batsman, off spinner, or right arm medium pacer, or left arm spinner. Or what if there is only one left arm wrist spinner, like in the case of Kuldeep Yadav, and there is hardly anyone of equal skills? So how do you tackle those situations?
You talk about a spinner to a spinner.
Okay.
So it's not necessary that he has to be a wrist spinner to be replaced by a wrist spinner. So the situation wherein you could foresee a problem could be in terms of an all-rounder. Maybe you say he's a middle order batter and a right arm fast bowler. Now he could be more of a batter and less of a bowler, and you find a substitute in the nominated list who could be the other way around. So it becomes difficult when you're replacing an all-rounder with an all-rounder. I mean, a batter with a batter is a straightforward case. A fast bowler with a fast bowler is a straightforward case. A spinner with a spinner is a straightforward case. So it's not necessary that left-arm Chinaman has to be replaced by a left-arm Chinaman. It could be another left-arm spinner. He could be an orthodox bowler. So that doesn't come into picture. But the key here is, like concussion was such a welcome change. Post the demise of Phil Hughes, it was discussed for a very long time, where the protection of helmets behind the head also came into picture, and then they got in the concussion, which has worked really well. And over a period of time, for any rule to set in, I think you need to give it a little bit of time for it to take shape. So I believe this is a very welcome change. I mean, more so, a team being benefited, another player getting an opportunity, a level playing field being provided. Hopefully, this stays on, and all the home boards who are going to incorporate this in their domestic season, come out with it successfully. And yes, 2026 season in international cricket, come July, we certainly would see this change being incorporated in ICC also.
Yeah, when you just mentioned about the like for like replacement, and especially in case of all rounders, I was remembering this incident where start of the year, India versus England, Harshit Rana was brought in as so somebody like a like for like replacement, mainly a fast bowler, but he came into the place of I think a slightly better all rounder. And Josh Butler had some issue with this kind of like for like replacement. And I had to mention to Josh Butler that Harshit Rana has got some first class 50. So you can't just ignore him as just a bowler. So this is what
That
could
was
happen. Yeah.
that was for Shivam Dubey, and there was a lot of talk going around. Yeah, at times it just becomes a bit tricky for the match referee to take a call as to what could be like to like. But yes, the end of the day, a rule that has been brought in on an experimental basis. We all hope that it stays and it comes into fore in the days to come by.
Any other rules, Sri, that we can we will get to see in the upcoming season, or it's just this one change in the domestic season?
I think this is the most important one, Jiku. The rest of it we've all discussed about, using one ball after 34 overs have been bowled in ODI cricket. Uh, One ball will be chosen out of the two that have been used for 34 overs. And then we've got protocols, small protocol changes in DRS, uh, protocols. Those are all pretty trivial ones.
The
Deliberate short run.
deliberate short run.
Yeah, yeah, wherein the onus is being given to the fielding side captain. It's just not about being docked 5 penalty runs, the ball not to count one in the over. It's also about which batter would be taking strike is the one which the fielding team captain will decide on. Otherwise, I think we've already discussed at length about the bunny hop catch, wherein the fielder can touch the ball from within, can go out, but the next touch of his, he should be landed within the ground. We've discussed that elaborately.
Right.
Again, there could be some changes in that also, wherein how many times can he touch the ball from outside? All these things will be discussed. But one major change is this, which will be watched very closely.
And so, if once this goes on, we will not be seeing the likes of somebody like Hanuma Vihari walking out with a bandaged hand in a Ranji Trophy for Andhra, batting left-handed just to save his innings from defeat or whatever. So there's something that we will all be looking forward to. Hopefully, there won't be that kind of an injury for players. Let's hope players stay injury-free. But then, if you cannot avoid injuries in any sport, and especially in this lovely game of cricket. So, on that note, Sri, wonderful. Thank you for all those detailed insights into this particular new rule, the injury replacement substitute, which will be in effect since from the Duleep Trophy starting on August 28 at the COE grounds in Bengaluru. So, on that note, thank you. Stay safe. Have a nice weekend. Thank you, Sri. Wonderful again. See you soon.
Thanks, Zico. Pleasure.
Bye-bye.